All right, hey guys, it's Jonathan Edwards here, head coach at lacrossegoalieuniversity.com, where it's the longest running lacrosse goalie blog on the planet, which I'm pretty proud of. So I've been coaching lacrosse goalie since 1992, been online since 2000. So if this is the first video that you've seen of me, welcome. And if you've got a goalie, whether you're a parent, a coach, or a goalie yourself, you're in the right place. And I'm going to tell you why. So I believe that the game of lacrosse, the game of field lacrosse, is at a tipping point, and I'm going to explain it. And the most important thing that I want you to understand right now is that it all starts with the goalie. All improvement starts with the field lacrosse goalie position. So when field lacrosse goalies get better, shooters get better. When shooters get better, defenders get better. When defenders get better, teams get better. And when teams get better, programs get better. And when programs get better, regions get better. And when regions get better, the whole country gets better. And that improves the game of lacrosse globally. And it all starts with the goalie. So you might be thinking, well, that's a little extreme, and maybe I'm a little bit biased because I was a goalie and I work with goalies, and I've had the chance to experience lacrosse, field lacrosse goaltending on a big scale. I was also an Olympian in a completely different sport. So I come at this not just as some like a lacrosse coach that only knows lacrosse. I actually work with a variety of athletes in a variety of sports at another website that I run called theathleteos.com. But the point is this, is that I believe field lacrosse is at a tipping point. Since about 1990, when with the introduction of like the brine edge, which is an offset head, we have seen improvements in stick technology with carbon fiber shafts and offset heads. And then in the early 2000s, we've seen basically the explosion of youth sports conditioning. So what was really reserved for college athletes, now we have high school athletes, both on the boys and the girls side, who are bigger, faster, stronger, and can just gun it. Especially on the girls side now too, with the changes in stick heads and mesh and things like that. Girls have as much whip on that stick as, like, to be honest, I feel like the boys do sometimes, and they can sling it. So the problem this is creating is that shooters, like the strength, the velocity, the accuracy of shooters has gone up, but the lacrosse goalie position, the field lacrosse goalie position, has been stuck, primarily because of the culture, kind of this old school lax bro culture that is still stuck in the game of field lacrosse in the United States. And that is expanded into the world. And so what do I mean by that? Well, the culture of like, well, if goalies wear pads, it slows them down, or it's hot, or if you wear pads, like it makes you look like you're weak and you're not interested. And that's a problem, because what's happened is that has stifled the development of the field lacrosse goalie position, okay? Shooters have kind of hockey sticked up like this, but now we're going to see a bit of a plateau. What I mean by that is that the athletes we see playing the game of field lacrosse right now, out in the field, the shooters and the like, they're not going to continue to have kind of this exponential growth. The problem is that field lacrosse goalies are still stuck being coached by the majority of coaches like they were back in like 1975. It really hasn't changed much. And I would argue that the lacrosse goalies out there today, even with like, a chest, pad for commotio cordis, that they are less protected than they were back then. And the reason being is the equipment today is light and it's thin, especially the gloves and even the chest protectors. Back when, if your coach is anywhere like kind of like mid, 40s and up, they played in a time where gloves were thick, leather was real, chest protectors were like either this kind of weird foam covered in a plastic coating, or it was like wool. Like, seriously? All right. We were more protected back then than when we were now. But that philosophy has infected the sport of lacrosse, and it has ruined field lacrosse goalies. And this is my argument, okay? When you improve shooters, and yet you don't improve goalies, you create this massive void in the position across the country. Okay, now I'm from Boston, but I live in Canada. I will speak to the North American audience, which then spreads out to the world. The point is this, is that the improvement in lacrosse in shooters has basically beaten goalies out of the sport, unlike any other sport. So I've coached soccer, I've coached ice hockey, I've coached lacrosse, I've coached. I was a baseball catcher. I was a goalie in every sport I played, and I could tell you for a fact that field lacrosse loses more talented kids or kids who are keen to be a goalie because of this culture of lack of protection and lack of respect for a goalie, and that is going to cause a real kind of dip in this game. We have seen lacrosse goalie save percentages basically go down. Then and you know what, there's some of this will be anecdotal, because I'll tell you this honestly, I don't believe there's anybody else in North America who has had as many heartfelt conversations with lacrosse goalie parents than I have, and that's of goalies from Division 1 all the way down. All right, Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, MCLA schools, all the way into high school and into junior high. Nobody has talked to more parents than I have. And so what I say is that there's coaches out there who might have worked with more goalies one-on-one, but in terms of conversations with parents, hands down, it's me. And I want to share with you what I've learned is that there are great kids that are super athletic and really keen to play, and they get beaten out of this sport because the goalie position has been neglected. And it's unique to field lacrosse. We don't have the same issues in ice hockey or soccer or handball or field hockey, you name it. For my Scandinavian fans, bandy ball, I swear, has probably better goaltending training than field lacrosse goalies do. And I've been trying to change that for about 20 years. Okay, so to my point that it all starts with the goalie. If you focus on shooters, you lose goalies. And now your team is limited by how many goals can we score. And the game, especially the collegiate game and the pro game, we are seeing like really good shots, but we're seeing horrible defense. We're seeing defenders who can't play one-on-one defense as well as, say, a basketball player, and it really should be the same, okay? It might be a little bit better because you've got a stick in your hand. So we're seeing defense go down the drain. We're seeing goalies go down the drain. And then we're seeing this hope that, hey, these high-scoring games continue on both the men and the women's side. But I'm here to tell you this. The game of field lacrosse sometimes is quite boring to watch, right? And some people might argue with me on that. They're like, no, that's not true. But if you look at the stands, if you look at how the game has evolved, we have yet to really replicate the fans we've seen in the stands back to a point when goalies were somewhat commensurate when it came to shooters. Since that time, it has really gone downhill, and the fans in the stands, all right, has gone down. Now, you would probably say, like, oh, but people are online now. I still don't buy it. Watching field lacrosse games can be frustrating, and it all goes back to the quality of the goalie. So what I want to encourage you to do if you're here on the site and you're watching all the way to the end, one, I want you to share this video with someone who needs to see it. Maybe it's your goalie, okay, and they're frustrated and they're playing. Maybe it's your coach. Maybe it's a camp or clinic you're going to attend this summer, or it's a college coach. Whoever it may be, share this video with them, because I want them to understand that the field lacrosse goalie position deserves more respect. And I'll end on this. I've watched a lot of lacrosse in my day, and I've dealt with a lot of field lacrosse goalies over the last since 1992. And I could tell you that the frustration in the lacrosse goalie position needs to change. And when it does, we're going to have more kids in a position that's better respected, treated well in practice, and the game is going to improve. The shooters will not get incrementally better. They'll get incrementally better, but I believe what we've seen, this hockey stick improvement in athleticism and shot velocity because of technology and physical build, that's going to plateau. Now we need the field lacrosse goalie position to catch up. How's it going to happen? It's going to happen with better coaching that I'm trying to change, and not just a rehashing of just what everybody. Oh, I'm doing what my coach did, and I'm throwing these like weird ideas at it. No, we got to improve the coaching. We've got to improve the protection. That may involve some rule changes, okay, in terms of protection for goalies, which means more, not less. Thank you, NFHS. Like that was just ridiculous. But anyway, I digress. So, if you've watched all the way, do me a favor. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Share this with somebody you know who needs to hear it. And by all means, leave me a comment below, because I'll fight this till the end, because I know this. When goalies get better, shooters get better. When shooters get better, defenders get better. When defenders get better, teams get better. When teams get better, programs get better. When programs get better, regions get better. And when regions get better, the country gets better. And it all starts with the goalie. Thanks for watching. See you soon. All right, hey there, and welcome if you've watched all the way to the end. I thought I'd take a moment to talk about kind of next steps and coaching and things that you might be interested in if you've watched all this way. So a couple things. So I've been running Lacrosse Goalie. It was originally lacrossegoalietips.com. I started that in 2000, basically kind of when the internet, when we could really do websites easily. And I've been coaching goalies ever since 1992, fresh out of high school, which is makes me like 106 years old. I get it. But I like to describe myself not just as a goalie coach. So as you kind of surf the internet, which you will, you're going to see lots of coaches out there professing to be able to help lacrosse goalies. And at this point in time, I'm kind of like the OG of lacrosse goalie coaches, which is kind of cool. So you've also probably, got a taste from me that I've got a little bit of a different attitude towards this. So part of that is because I was an Olympian in a completely different sport. I also run a website called The Athlete OS, formerly athletespecific.com, where I coach athletes in a variety of sports who are trying to become Olympians, professionals, play Division I, sometimes even just make their varsity or make their local club. I wrote a book called An Athlete's Guide to Winning in Sports and Life, which is kind of fuzzy right over my shoulder. It's on Amazon. Hit number 2 in sports psychology when we launched. So, but lacrosse goalies is, it's what I love. Like, I was a high school All-American. I was a Division I recruit, and I come at this with a very different perspective than most goalie coaches do. So lacrosse is kind of my love, my first love, and I'm still involved in a big way. And I work with a limited number of families every year, helping their goalie as young as like 12 years old, all the way up to D1, so in everywhere in between. So I really enjoyed doing that. I love it. I have a specific approach to the lacrosse goalie position, and I work primarily via video around the world. So if that's something that you'd be interested in and you'd like to kind of take next steps there, so at lacrossegoalieniversity.com/coaching, there's probably a link somewhere on this page or a link below this video, depending where you are. You'll see the options that I have for coaching. So I have a master's level program where, get it, university. So we have master's, graduate, and undergraduate. And so the undergraduate level I no longer offer, okay? And because I don't think there's any benefit to just throwing information at you without being able to really fully assess your goalie and speak to your goalie specifically. So the graduate level, okay, which is kind of one of my most popular ones, although master's level has now become my most popular. The idea is that at the graduate level, we're basically working via video once a month. You have access to a whole host of just this massive vault of videos that I have at Lacrosse Goalie University. It's basically a forum kind of behind the scenes. And you have access to all that, all the videos that I've done over the years, just a big, massive brain dump in terms of lacrosse goaltending and my philosophy as such that has helped goalies reach, the All-American Division I level and beyond, which is kind of cool. So then my master's level is where we combine kind of my goalie coaching knowledge and we get a little bit deeper and we work on things like college recruiting. We kind of combined a lot of my work at the Athlete OS on the mental performance side of things, and we're doing goalie reviews pretty much every week. So basically, you kind of have access to me in a month-long commitment, and I'll be honest, like the average goalie that works with me stays with me for about 3 years. And that's not because I'm trying to keep you with me forever. That's not my goal. My goal is to kind of teach you what you know and let you go. But the value that people experience when working with me is such that I like to say that I make everything else you're going to spend money on in the sport of lacrosse more valuable. Okay, so whether you work with a local coach and you want to just make sure that that's going well, or you're thinking about buying a piece of equipment, or maybe you're going to go attend a camp or a recruiting event this summer, working with me is going to make all of those choices you make more valuable. You may actually save money. You may spend some more money depending on what you need, what your goalie needs. But the bottom line is that I'm really a resource in your back pocket, and I guarantee that the advice you're going to get from me is not what you're going to get from anybody else who's going to be just focusing just on ball stopping. We focus on that too, but I believe 100% you can't look at an athlete as a silo and just talk about one thing without talking about all the other things as well. Okay, so that's what you get when you work with me, which is very different than what you get from working with anybody else. So, and yeah, if working with video kind of seems weird to you, now post COVID, everybody's kind of used to that. Heck, years ago, people would send me VHS tapes, if you remember what those were, and I would do my own critique of them and send a video back, which is kind of cool. So now that we're just connected with tech, it's really, really cool. So if that's something that interests you, I always have a limited number of goalie spots to work with. Right now, I'll be honest, if it's something that you are interested in, definitely just go to the website, go to coaching, lacrossegoalieuniversity.com/coaching. Basically, put in your credit card and get tied into one or the other, and then we will decide if we have availability at that point. So it's the easiest way I can do it. Apologize, it might sound a little convoluted, but it's the best way I can do it, because that way I'm only working with people who are just like really committed to getting better, right? And that's where I'm at this point. So not to be disrespectful, but just to be honest. And but if that's you, if you have a committed goalie who wants to play in college, they've got big athletic dreams, if you want to help see that happen, if you are spending money already elsewhere, like on travel teams or equipment or things like that, then I highly encourage you reaching out and working with me, and because we'll make all of that better. All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I look forward to hearing from you. Take care.